So can you see my screen, and everyone? Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm super excited to see you here, to have you here. It's such a pleasure. Welcoming you especially to the first edition, or should I call it the first edition, but I would call it the first edition of the Illumination series. And this is the February edition. This is supposed to be a monthly thing, by God's grace moving forward, where I get to share knowledge that could help you, and that could help you just grow strategically. So I'm excited that you signed up, you registered, you put it on your calendar, you joined, and then you're here. I expect that you already have your notepads, you have your pens, or you have your virtual notepads, wherever it is, so that you can follow through and you can pay attention. So welcome again. Welcome. If at any point you cannot hear me, you cannot see me, especially hearing me, please let me know. Just call my attention to it. And please, all mics muted unless you want to say something. All mics muted, please, unless you want to ask a question or say something. So today I'm going to be walking you through how to develop an effective personal growth strategy. How to develop an effective personal growth strategy. And why this topic? Why this topic? Because I just realized that, the way John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. I also believe that everything rises and falls on knowledge. So what you know will determine a lot about the kind of results that you get. How many of you agree with me? What you know will determine the kind of results that you get. It will determine who you align with. It will determine what you achieve. So it means that there are certain things you are not achieving at the level that you currently are, simply because there's a level of personal development that you've not gotten to. Do you understand? There are things that you can be, there are places that you can get to. And the only issue right now is that there are things you don't know. So do you understand? So I thought that a lot of us were rightfully, interestingly, preparing for year 2023. And some of us we have not even, in fact, let me even do a quick question. If you had a new year plan or a new year goal, resolution, or whatever at the beginning of the year, you drop a comment. Can you just drop a comment? I just would like to, if it's okay if you didn't have, many of us did not have. Well, just, what? Let's just enter. And so there are usually two categories of people: the people who have arranged, the people who have said, this year is this year, I'm going to tackle you, or you tackle me. One of us will shout, tackle. Oh, I like Ujumwa's honesty. She says, I have something shy. It's the honesty I like. Mario just says, I came prepared. Oh, Kemi Bate says, I do, and you're following. That's amazing. Some of us add, because we're like, this year, it's either you finish me or I finish you. One of us will finish each other because I came here ready. Others are like, you know what? Let me just be going. God, just be carrying me there. God, Jehovah, carry me there. Just be carrying me. Wherever you land me, I'm okay. And so, for people who have set goals, many people eventually do not achieve their goals, right? Because there's no personal growth strategy. And for people who did not set goals, likely because they were discouraged or they were looking at it like, this is a lot, I don't even know where to start from. It's many times it also boils down to not having a personal growth strategy. And so that's why I just thought, this would be an important thing for us to know, for us to start with. And if you are here, it means that you are really big on personal development. That's the first proof I want you to know. There are people that like saying, when they ask them for their hobbies, They'll be like, I like reading, I like improving myself, I like developing myself, I'm like, okay, no problem. But if you ever say I like developing myself, this is proof. This is actually proof. You being here is proof that I can hold you to that word. I know you're big on personal development. So maybe one of these days, we'll come back to those of you who have hobbies as reading in your CVs, but the last time you read was 3 years ago during the pandemic. But today's not that day. Okay, so today I should walk you through what a personal growth strategy is, the importance, and then some guiding thoughts that guide my own personal life and my own personal development, and that have worked, and what a personal growth strategy should look like to you. And I hope that I'm able to walk through creating or helping you to curate or assemble your personal growth strategy. So are we ready? 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 Okay, we're ready. We're ready. First of all, my name is Orifunke Lawal. I cannot assume that you know me. Some of you know me, some of you do not. There are people who likely just joined because somebody sent them and said, just join and hear what she will say. And my name is Orifunke Lawal. And I like to define or describe myself under these keywords. Number one, I'm a capacity builder. So it means that I am particularly keen on people developing themselves. I've always been crazy about helping people become better. I hate ignorance with a passion. God, I don't think when I see people do things out of ignorance, I'm usually like, I want to teach you. I want to impart that knowledge, because I'm like, no, this, I don't like ignorance at all. And it doesn't mean that there are things we are not all ignorant about, but then I'm just always like, if there's something that I really know and it doesn't sound like commonplace knowledge, even though I expect that everybody should know this, my reaction is often to say, you know what, how exactly can I share this so that somebody learns? So that's who I am. And then I'm a digital entrepreneur, and what that simply means is I create digital products for a living. Well, that's one of the things I do for a living. I create digital products for a living, and I create ebooks, I create courses. Some of you know I run the Orifunke Lawal Academy, and so that's one of the places through which we try to reach Africans and young people so that they develop themselves, they earn skills, they they earn paying skills, high-paying skills, because I'm big on high-paying skills. And you know that when it comes to the job sphere, you have skills, you have low-paying skills, and you have high-paying skills. But again, that's not the conversation for. And so I am a believer, I am a Christian. So someone say something? Okay, I'm a believer and I'm a Christian. So I think that's all that you can know tonight. And so let's start. What is a personal growth strategy? Right, and this is how I have defined a personal growth strategy. I've defined it as, yeah, 1 second, please, sir. Yes, I wanted to show. So now, a personal growth strategy is a comprehensive plan or guide of self-development and growth that focuses on what you want to achieve, who you want to become, where you want to get to, why you want to achieve this, when you are looking at, and how it will get done. If you're in the Lady Who Boss community, we're currently through a challenge, the networking and relationship building challenge. And for day one, I recorded a podcast sharing some basic principles for building relationships, networking, and getting alliances and partnerships and associations, right? And one of the things that I mentioned then was that you need, or can anyone remember if you're in LWB for the first podcast, I mentioned that you need to look at the 5 Ws and the 1H when it comes to creating a system that allows you to build relationships with people, right? Because of course, building relationships with people, it goes beyond, oh, I want to be your friend. It goes beyond having their WhatsApp numbers. It goes beyond simply following them on Instagram and telling them, hey, you inspire me a lot. It goes beyond all of that. It's a system you need to build if you're going to build sustainable relationships. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I mentioned the 5 Ws 1H principle, and it's so popular. That's like very, very popular. Everybody knows the what, where, why, who, when, how. And that principle, as that framework, as basic as it is, can give you maximum clarity when it comes to dealing with your life. It can give you maximum clarity. So now back to what I was sharing. A growth or a personal development strategy is a comprehensive plan or a guide. Don't let the comprehensive trip you off, but it's a guide of self-development and growth that focuses on what you want to achieve, who you want to become, where you want to get to, why you want to achieve this, when you are looking at, and how you will get it. And so in very basic terms, it describes or outlines where you want to get to and what you will do to get there. Where you want to get to and what you will do to get there. So I have some guiding thoughts that I want to share that could also that have helped me, like I mentioned earlier, and that would also help you as well. Now, number one guiding thought is, and importance of having a personal growth strategy. Number one is that nothing works simply because you wish for it, but because there's a strategy in place for it to work, no matter how informal it is. Did you get that? Nothing works simply because you wish. You can't sit down and wish to be a person of influence or a person of growth or a person of knowledge, and all of a sudden it just happens. It's not wishful thinking. Nothing works because you were wishing for it. Nothing works because you were hoping for it. Do you understand? Nothing works simply because you just sat down somewhere and you were like, you know what? I want to read more. I want to take more courses. I want to be top in my company. I want to get a promotion. I want whatever. But because there's a strategy or a plan, so I'm going to be using plan and strategy interchangeably for the purpose of this call. So there's a strategy in place for it to work, no matter how informal it is. And sometimes the plan is as informal and short as saying, for the next 3 months, I would read at least 1 page of a book a day. For the next 3 months, every week, I'm going to reach out to a sponsor in my company and say so and so and so. For the next 5 weeks, every month, I'm going. Do you understand? Sometimes it's very, very informal. You may not need all the entire paperwork and all of that. But guess what? A haphazard strategy or plan will guarantee you better than none at all. So it is even better. I can still work with somebody who has an idea of something they want to do consistently than somebody who doesn't know anything at all. Are we together? Somebody who has an idea, somebody who can say, okay, well, I don't have it in one paper, I don't have it in one book, but I know that every month I must take a course in so and so thing. Because a haphazard strategy or plan, an imperfect plan, is better than no plan at all. Okay, so the second guiding thought I'll be sharing with you is a strategy, a personal growth strategy or plan provides you with 2 things. Number one, it gives you direction. It gives you direction. It tells you, you know what am I supposed to be doing? What should I be focusing on at this time or in the next so and so timeline? It gives you direction. And how many of us have experienced times where, you know, it's like your life is on autopilot? If you don't even know, I mean, it's okay to be sincere. It's nobody's judging anybody here. But you've had cases where you're like, your life, my life is just on autopilot. God, anything, anyhow that it meets me, I will attend. Whatever it is, I will take it like that, right? Because there's really no direction. And one of the things that having a plan does for you is that it gives you direction. It tells you, okay, you know what, this is what we're supposed to be focusing on at this time. This is what we're supposed to be focusing on right now, in the future, in the next 3 weeks, or this month, or next month. Because if you do not have direction, two things, well, many things can happen, but two things can happen. Number one, you will live your life on autopilot. And this also applies to not just individuals, but organizations. You will live your life on autopilot. Number two, any direction would look like the best direction to you. So because there's no direction, when you see someone doing this, you follow them and do it. When you see somebody, you know, wear their wig a certain way, that's the way everyone is doing it now. You're going to wear it. You see everybody wearing blue, you're going to wear blue. If you see everyone doing webinar, you're going to do webinar. If you see everyone reading, what's that book? Not because you feel personally convicted to read it, but you just carry the book because there's no direction. You just feel like, okay, you know what? If this person is reading it, everybody's reading it. There's something there. So what a plan does is that it gives you direction. It allows you to know what you should be focusing on at this time or in the next so and so timeline. And guess what? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes you will not even be able to follow that plan consistently. But guess what? It will just, there's a way a plan gives you direction. You just know, you know, you just, okay, you know, these are the things I should be doing. These are the things I have no business doing. And second thing is, a strategy gives you sustainability. How can I remain motivated? And how many of us have been here before? The reason you don't take personal development endeavor, you likely just got fed up of all the classes, books, learning whatever, because you were scared that if you started, you will not finish. I mean, you can relate to that. I can relate. So you're like, if I should start like this, I don't know if I will finish. I don't know. Right. So last year, I got admitted into a program, into the African Women's Entrepreneurship Cooperative. And when we were starting, the first thing that they got us to do was to plan everything that we needed to do for the program. Plan everything. Plan not just what you needed to do for the program, but what your life should look like over the next 1 month. Sorry, over the next 1 year, because it's a 1-year program. I'm on number 7, month 7 now. So I'm like, God, thank you. I'm almost done. So what you had to do was you had to look at, you know, Monday. What am I supposed to be doing between 7 and 8? 8 and 9, 10. I don't always follow it, right? But now this is it. Because the program itself is an intensive one, and then they just knew that, you know, sometimes people may not to follow, people may get tired, people may get demotivated. They asked us to create a calendar. So I have on my calendar something that treats about when I should be doing my work reading. So it goes off and says, you know, 2-hour work reading. I have a timer, or should I say an alarm clock that goes off for when I should submit my assignments, for when I should prepare for live sessions, for when I should prepare for peer feedback, for when I should prepare for peer sessions. Do you understand? And so that has given me sustainability, because if you're going to run a program for 1 year, you should know the kind of motivation you need, especially because it's virtual. You're not seeing them physically. So a guide helps you to have sustainability, so that you're not starting and not finishing. You're not starting and remaining demotivated. You're not starting, you're like, you know what, I'm no longer inspired. This inspiration thing, or you are just moving in and out of inspiration. Today you see something that fires you up, tomorrow it goes down. A guide is a guide. A guide is unemotional. Yes, a guide is unemotional. It is there. An alarm goes off whether I'm happy or not, whether I'm sad or not, whether I'm inspired or not, whether I'm, it just goes off because it is unemotional. So it just keeps you sustained. Right. Now, the next guiding thought that I want to share, and yes, I wanted to also mention this before I go ahead. Recently I began to like cliches a lot. I began to like cliches a lot because I believe that progress lies in the cliches. So it's like, please, I want something I've not heard before. I don't want motivational speaking. Well, I'm not even going to motivate you. I'm not even motivate you. But yeah, I don't want motivational speaking. I want something, I want something eerie. I want something out of the blues. I want something, I've never heard before. But for, most of the programs, most of the books that I've read, that have had an impact in my life, there are things that I heard before. There are things I've heard before. And so what I usually tell myself is, well, if this is cliche, right, and I'm not seeing the result of this knowledge in my life, then it means the knowledge has not entered my spirit yet. You get? So if somebody says, so can somebody give me an example of a cliche? How do I want? I'm looking for. I want to give you a concrete example. But if something is truly a cliche that is relevant to me, I need to see the impact in my life. If I'm not yet seeing the impact in my life, then it means it is not a cliche yet. Do you understand? So if I'm craving, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Ajayi Folorunso says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Tomi Omotosho says, things don't work unless you make them work. These things are cliche. Why somebody you're like, well, I've been hearing it since. For instance, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I wrote an essay on that in secondary school for my work. So it's like, sorry, some people may not be in Yoruba here. We're like, we've been hearing this thing. We're on a year. But guess what? If there are places or there are times or segments or aspects of my life where I still fail to plan, despite knowing that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, it simply means that cliche is not cliche enough. It's not showing in my life yet. So I still need it. I still need to be hearing. Yes, I remember what I can say. Yes, I do. So it means I still need to be hearing it every day. A cliche, if you say a cliche is readers are leaders, we know read, and they say leaders are readers, readers are leaders, or how do they even say it again? If you, even as a person, you are not a reader as a leader, then it means that cliche is not, it has not begun to work. Do you get, failure is the mother of success. I don't know about this one, but I'm not so sure. Failure is the mother of success. But really, so since then, whenever I read a book and I'm like, okay, I knew this thing, I knew it. I would just tell myself, okay, if you knew this thing already, why aren't you the one who wrote the book? Or why is your life not reflecting the knowledge that you already have? Do you understand? Anyways, I digress. So my guiding thought number 3 is that a personal growth gives you a plan for progress and achievement. It sets you rolling. It sets you in motion. And goals without plans will remain goals for a long time. The eventual essence of a goal is for it to be achieved. So if there's no plan with that goal, if there's no plan with it, they will remain goals. A goal is not meant to remain a goal. Well, there are some goals that, but by goals, I'm looking at very specific goals. A goal is not always meant to be a goal all of the time, all of your life. The goals that you had 5 years ago cannot be the goals that you have currently. even in cases where it's like, you're like, oh, I have a goal for consistent development. That's an aspiration, but that's by the way, but that's an aspiration. But you're like, I have a goal for personal development. The level of personal development that you had 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, is not what you have at this point in time. If it is still the same level of personal development, the same level of books you wanted to read now that you're reading now, the same level of people or the same level of courses, it means that there's a problem. Or don't you think so? So the eventual essence of goals is that they are achieved. But if your goal doesn't have a plan, what happens is they will remain a goal for a very long time. How many of us have had long goals that turned long term by force because they didn't have a plan and we didn't do anything about them? So you entered into the year and you say, you know what, this year I am reading 100 books. No plan, no strategy, nothing. Then the next year, it's like, I didn't read 100 books last year, but God can do it this year. You put it again, 100 books. No goal and no strategy. So for the past 5 years, you have been owing yourself 500 books. Or how many books are those? About over 500 books. If you had to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, let's talk about this. Yourself will tell yourself that you're owing me 500. You they owe me 500. Past 5 years, you just tell me say you go read, you don't read anything. So, you understand? But what are owing ourselves goals from 7, 8. Well, that's not a conversation for today. So the conversation for today, I didn't want to go there, but do you get? Because you need a plan for whatever goal it is. And some of you don't think every goal needs a plan. You're like, this year I just want to read more. This year, I just want to hang out with people more. Team introverts. This year, I want to visit people more. No plan, nothing. Okay, we'll see again next year. All right, so the fourth guiding thought I want to share is that a personal growth plan is not cast in stone. It is meant to be a guide, and so it can be dynamic and flexible. Sometimes the you who created a goal in January realizes in April that I've grown beyond this goal, or you develop some kind of knowledge that lets you know that I don't even know what I was thinking, and that's why review your goal is important, because you just you just look at your goals and you're like, now me set this one. Did I set, what was I thinking when I set this goal? Because I don't even have the capital. I had no business whatsoever setting this goal. You're like, how what's going on here? Do you understand? So sometimes the you in April is not the you who set a goal in January. So you need to know that it's not cast in stone. And this is a very important point, because a lot of times people stay on dead goals because they are so attached to the goal. They are so attracted to the goal. They've held the goal like, I must achieve you by force, by fire. Nothing will happen. Some goals are not meant to be achieved by force, by fire. Yeah. Sometimes you need to actually be sincere with yourself. Like, this goal, it can't work. I believe in myself. God believes in me, but this thing cannot work. Right? So some goals need to change. Some goals, you set them when you at some point where you thought, okay, you know what, at the end of this year, I want to be an author. I want to publish 5 books just this year alone. And then you get to September, you get to August, and you're like, this thing is like, it's not like it can't happen, but at the level that I am, it cannot happen. Sometimes the difference between an achievable goal and a goal that is unrealistic is time. Sometimes it is the resources you have. Sometimes it is where you are living. And I'm not saying this to berate somebody, but there are things that I could just not have achieved where I was living 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, but that I can achieve now. So it just really boils down to honesty and realizing that a personal growth plan is not cast in stone. Now, it doesn't mean that every time, every month, you'll not be changing goal. You'll be changing it like clothes. Today, they say it's not cast in stone. Oh, yeah, next month. No, if that happens, it means that there's an issue somewhere, and it means that you likely need to work on your longevity thinking, how you think, how you're futuristic, or how you think forward. But it is not meant to be cast in stone. It should be a guide, so it should be dynamic and flexible, right? My fifth guiding thought is that there is hardly a time in your life where there is absolutely nothing you can do for yourself or for that situation. And I think this is my best. Okay, well, I'm not even halfway done yet, but I think this is my best part. There is hardly a time in your life where there is absolutely nothing you can do for yourself or for that situation. There's hardly. If you have nothing to do, it means that you haven't discovered what to do yet, not that there is nothing you can do. So I see people who are stuck in situations, stuck in places, stuck in conditions, and they're always like, there's nothing I can. That's not true. That's not, as long as you're alive, there is always something, no matter how small. Sometimes people are just expecting that what they can do is, it has to be something really, really big. No, there's something that you can do where you currently are, no matter how small, about a situation. There's never a time where, I just believe that there's never a time where God puts you in a situation where nothing can happen. Even when a person dies, it's still, well, I don't want to say all of is dead when the person dies, because the person can still rise. So there's only a time in your life. And what this thought does for me is that it allows me to be more intentional about my life. It allows me to realize. Sorry, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Joanne says she can't hear me. So can you? Okay, people can hear me. Joanne, so that should be your network, please. That should be your network. All right. So what this thinking does for me is that, number one, it saves me from feeling like I am helpless. It feels like, there are so many dimensions to this, but many people have been on the same level for so many years because they keep feeling like everything is against them and there is nothing that they can do. There is always something that you can do. If you feel like there's nothing you can do, it is just because you've not found it yet. There is always something you can do. And this is a guiding thought that lets me know that I am in control of my life to a very large extent, and almost as much as God is also in control of my life, right? And then the sixth guiding thought I want to share is that you don't have all the time in the world to be intensively committed to yourself. Time and energy are scarce resources. So the energy that you have at 30 is not the energy you have at 50. The energy that you have at 20 is not even the energy that you have at 30 or 35. So you do not have all the time in the world. And so you need to start treating everything you have, everything that God has blessed you with, as scarce or limited resources. Time, you don't have all the time in the world. You can, for instance, somebody who gets married, has children, cannot exactly yet afford nannies or cleaners or whatever, so they have to do the chores and everything, and they also still have to work. You know that if that person wants to achieve certain things in their lives, it would take more demand on their time and their energy, right? Because even when they want to do certain things, they have to consider the children that will be shouting, "Mommy, mommy, 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 Junior beats me. See, this one slaps me. Mommy, mommy." Do you understand? So you do not have all the time in the world to be intensively committed to yourself. So the best time is now. You will get busier, you will get older, you will get more responsibilities. things will change, life will change. Do you understand? So the best time is now. So now, I want to share some blind spots that I want us to pay attention to when creating personal development strategy. So, like I mentioned earlier, you're here because you want to learn more. You want to see how you can better improve your ability to develop your personal development levels or affinity. And so, some blind spots I want to pay attention to is number one, pay attention to borrowed dreams and aspirations. Sometimes the reason people are struggling is because they are trying to achieve a borrowed dream. Pardon me. They're trying to achieve a borrowed aspiration. And what are borrowed dreams and aspirations? They are dreams and aspirations that you got or you acquired from somebody else. So it could be who you relate with. It could be your mom. It could be your dad. I've shared repeatedly about how I went to science class. I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. Yeah, a petrochemical engineer. If life had turned out the way I wanted, it would have been engineer, or before my name, you'd have been calling me engineer Orifunke Lawal now. But you know, I'm still engineering things anyway. Who cares? Who cares about those who have? I'm still engineering things. So I mentioned how I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer because my dad just came home one day and said, there's one person, there's one person in there, one woman, she's a woman, you know, and it's the way it said it, she's a woman, and she's a petrochemical engineer, and she's trying, the way it said it, won't try go, in fact, won't try go, but so from when he mentioned that, pardon me, from when he mentioned that, I just looked at his petrochemical engineer. I think it was the first time I heard of it in my life, and I was about 9 years old. So I was like, okay, petrochemical engineer. He says this woman is doing very, very well. She's well respected, and she's a petrochemical engineer. No problem. I want to be a petrochemical engineer. I was 9 years old, and when I was 9, I was in, I think, primary 5, between primary 5 and GSS1. I remember clearly. So it means that from that period in primary 5, I moved through GSS1, GSS2, GSS3, telling myself I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. And I went into science class because I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. Not because it was a strength or sciences were a strength. I wasn't a numbers person. Maths and me, we used to struggle a lot. But I just, that's petrochemical engineer. Nibo, I'm gonna achieve you, or you will achieve me. Something will shall happen. And so I went to the sciences, SS1, SS2, SS3, and it was when I got into SS3 that everything scattered. And then I wrote JAMB, and it scattered further. And then I entered. It just kept scattering. Why? Because I had lived my life on a borrowed dream, and so it's so important for you to be very self-aware, to step back and pay attention, because sometimes the things people want to achieve in their lives aren't things they really want to achieve in their lives, but things that they've borrowed from people, things that their friends achieve, things that from people that they follow, things from people that they listen to, things from what they watch. You know, some people, okay, no, I won't go there, right? But you need to be very, very careful about borrowed dreams and aspirations. I'll go there. So some people, right, the reason they want to travel around the world is because they follow people on social media who travel around the world. And I'm not saying it's not good. I want to travel around the world, though. I want to travel around the world. It's not as if I don't want to do that. I want all of us to travel around the world. I'm going to travel around the world. But I'm trying to explain to you who you follow, who you relate to, who you listen to, who you watch. Sometimes it's even your friends. Not you, not It's not as if they are bad people. It's you as a person, but you find yourself in a situation where you are like, my friends are, my friends are getting married, so definitely marriage is the goal. How will all my friends be getting married? I'm not getting married. It's goal. So because somebody's getting married by the start of the year, you're like, August, I should get married. Pata, 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 pata. September, I should get married. What peju? November. November. Worry ready. Yeah. That December. I know you can relate. Don't worry, we've been there at different levels. You're like, are we ready? Why? Because it's a borrowed dream. You may not be ready. You may just not be ready to be married, even if you are 32. But you have looked at everybody, what's going on. It has to be there. You have to go for the year. So the goal is there. I'm not saying it's a wrong goal, right? Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that the motives for the goals have to be well established. Because you also need to know that if you borrow a dream or an aspiration, you may not have the sufficient level of motivation to achieve them or sustain them. Do you understand? Right? Yes. You may not have you may not be able to sustain that motivation because it wasn't your dream at first. You don't be like, oh, that's what you're saying here. That's how they're always saying. That's how they're always talking. So because everybody's getting married and all your friends are getting married. Okay, you know what? Let me move away from marriage. I'm trying to look for something else that everybody can relate to. Let's even say signing up for a course or signing up for a certification. Signing up for a certification. Also, my friend has already done. Somebody should give me the CIPM. I'm coming to that. Okay. I should have just asked you people now. I should have asked you people. You're like, see, everybody's writing CIPM. God, is this where I'm gonna be? Me too, I'm gonna write CIPM. Let me write CIPM. Do you understand? Is it really what you want to do, or is it a borrowed dream? CIPM is amazing. Please, if you're interested in personal management, go and take that course. Go and take it. It's very, very important. Well, is it relevant to you, or is it a borrowed dream? Did you listen to your mentor on an Instagram live session and you heard us say, or heard him say, last year I signed up for 15 certifications, and you're like, my mentor is the standard, 15. Hey, what am I doing? I'm going to sign. You signed up for everything and you cannot sustain the motivation because you are borrowing from them. So this is a blind spot that I really need us to pay attention to, especially when you want to focus on personal development. You want to take a course, you want to do anything, relocate, move into a new field. Are you really passionate about that field? Or are you just going there because it's like, everybody's running there, let me not be left behind? And I shared on my status how last year I wanted to change careers, and I was like, you know what? I better go into tech. And I said, let me try tech, and the tech was not teching. I said, no, my destiny is not aligning. So I'm like, let me try that. Let me put my head somewhere else. Let me put my head, So it's so important. So you're not living on borrowed dreams and aspirations. So you just want to be an influencer. Just want to share. See, okay. Now, number 2, let's move on. Expecting other external sources to be primarily responsible for what gets done in your life. So people usually expect on external sources. They're usually like, They live their lives in the hands of other people. If you feel like you cannot get anything done in your life, and I know this is going to shake a bit, but if you feel like you cannot get anything done in your life without a mentor, you fall under this category. There's a problem. Or you feel like the mentor is to do everything. They are supposed to wake you up. They are supposed to get you to sleep. They are supposed to, call you. Have you eaten? They're supposed to say, what's going on? Can you send me that email? They're supposed to say everything. And if you just have small, I mean, if they give you one feedback that I don't like, it's like they're hating on you. You fall in this category. It's number 2. That's where, if you expect other external sources to be primarily responsible for what gets done in your life, this is a problem. And sometimes it's not even just mentors. Sometimes it's even your boyfriend. You're expecting your but you get should I speak? So oh God, that is it's a friendly meeting. It's a friendly meeting. I didn't come here to fight anybody. But sometimes it's some ladies get into relationships, or some women get into marriages, and the husband is the one who they think is now the one who is responsible for their lives. He has to tell them which course to take. He has to tell them what book to read. He has to tell them what job to take or not to take. If he doesn't say A, it's nothing. He has to be on their neck. So that's a blind spot that you want to pay attention to. Some of you, it's not boyfriend, it's your friends. You have fought with in the last 3 years. You have cut off friends, cut them off because you're not adding anything to my life. And what's the definition of adding to your life? They should always be calling you, always telling you, read this book, read that book, take that course. I mean, you're not adding anything to my life. Last 3 years, only you. Like 70 friends, you have cut them off. Because you're like, you're not adding anything to my life. You're not adding anything to my life. You're not. And the definition of adding is that they are supposed to always be paying attention to you. If they attend a webinar without telling you, there's a problem, there's a challenge. If they read a book, they don't share with you. They don't have your interest at heart. If they take a course, they don't tell you. God is signaling to them, they are enemies. They are wolves in sheep clothing. But so it's not just mentee-mentor relationships. It's even your friends. You're like, this is my friend. How do I want to even put itself? Does he have my interest at heart? Number 3, let me move forward, is having the habit of complaining about everything. I run away from people who complain a lot. I run away from people who complain. If you're a complainer, God, I'm not saying that there aren't things that need to be fixed or addressed. I'm not saying there aren't issues to complain about. If you live in Nigeria, I'm sure you have more than 1,001. Every day you're saying things you need to complain about. But if you have a habit of complaining about everything and everybody, only you, every time, every day on your WhatsApp status, there's something to complain about. There's something. There's problem. Oh. There's problem, and there is pressure. There's pressure because everything there's. Oh yeah, read this book. There's no light. Do this one. There's no power. Do that one. I'm not feeling fine. Do this one. There is pressure. There's pressure. There's a whole lot of pressure. I'm trying to be tush. So there's pressure. And if you have a habit of always looking at how things cannot work before looking at how things can work, you push people a lot away from your life. There are people, at least there's likely at least one person that you run away from. You don't, or if they call you like this and you pick their call, you be like, I can't pick this call. That's a challenge. I can't pick this call, because you know that for the next 45 minutes, the person will move from one complaint to another, move from one complaint to another. By the time you're done with that call, you are drained mentally, emotionally. You are tired. Or you read some people's WhatsApp status, and it gets to a point where you just mute them. And you'll be like, you know what? You just mute them, because it's complain every day. Complain. So this is a blind spot you also need to pay attention to. And the last blind spot that I want us to pay attention to is being too generic, not knowing exactly what you are looking for. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to know what growth looks like to you. If growth looks like anything and everything, you will move forward. So, people are just like, I want to get a new job. What kind of job? You don't know. I want to learn a new skill. What kind of skill? You don't know. I want to read more books this year. What kind of books? You don't know. I want to make more friends this year. What? You don't know there are different kinds of friends in this life. And then you're being too generic about the kind of friends you want to make. So people, yes, I want to, even if you want to get into a relationship, what kind of relationship? You don't know. Everything is just generic. So when something that even fits you come, you don't know, because you don't exactly know what growth looks like to you. And let me tell you, sometimes that course you took, that you're like, oh, that course wasn't valuable. They were just somebody else will take that course and be like, this is the best course. Have you taken a course like that? And you're like, is it in the same class that both of us were? And they're like, oh my God, that lecturer is the best lecturer. That's very best. And she's like, what's going on? But maybe you just by chance found yourself there. But they had planned it and said, I need to get into a class for cybersecurity. I don't know why I mentioned cybersecurity, but I need to get into a class. I need to learn I need to learn more about cybersecurity. So you cannot afford to be generic. You need to know exactly what you are looking for. So this, I essentially brought these blind spots so that we can talk about it. So the next thing I want us to look at is, helping you to curate or assemble your personal growth strategy. But do you guys feel like you want to take a break, maybe like a 5-minute break? Do you want to, maybe you want to wash your head, let water enter, let's, maybe you want to remove, if you're wearing your wig, you want to remove your wig? Or do you want us to go ahead? Do you want us to fire on? I can see some people saying there's pressure. There's pressure. Okay, looks like everybody's okay. Awesome. Now, what are the things you need to look at when you are assembling your kit, right? So the first thing you want to look at is starting point. Where exactly do I start from? No, I'm not removing my wig. Will you not be scared if I suddenly remove my wig? I better go. All right, so where do I start from? And this is for you if you've never attempted to, sit down and create a plan or whatever it is. These are questions that you need to be asking. And number one question is, what are my personal aspirations for the closest future? What are the things that I personally want to achieve? What are the things that I want to get done? It has to be very, very personal to you. What are your personal aspirations for the closest future? So if you are feeling like, I don't even know where to start from, I don't know what books I want to be reading, all this course, people are just talking about course, where do I even want to start from? What exactly are your personal aspirations for the closest future? Number two is, where are you currently and how does it fit into the future that you're looking at? Where are you currently? So some people are looking for an abstract aspiration where they can start their growth or their personal development right from where they are. You can be on a job even if you didn't like the job initially, or you got the job accidentally, but that could be a starting point for you to realize, you know what, this is where I'm supposed to be reading. You're in a field, and in the last 1 year, I initially wanted to say 3 months. I'm like, okay, let's be fair, 6 months. But in the last 1 year, you've not read something pertaining, you've not read a book or taken a course pertaining to your field, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Where you are currently can give you a because it's even very, very easy to say, you know what, this is where I am, and this is how I can develop myself. So I'm on a job as an SEO content writer. It helps me a lot to say, you know what, let me start to read as regards where I am, your job, right? So where you are currently and how it fits in the future. Number three, looking at where you want to start from, is what changes are you noticing in your art for this period or season? For some people, the change, you don't even know it's a change, right? You just realize that. Can anybody hear me? Can other people hear me?
Yes, well, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So, that may be your network. Let me be your network. All right. So now, what changes are you noticing in your art? For some of you, you have gotten incredibly uncomfortable where you are. And no matter what you try, you just know, nah, this is not it for me anymore. That's a starting point. So where's your heart leaning to? What are you? Okay, you can hear now. That's great. What are the leanings? What are the pangs that are in your heart? I shared on my WhatsApp status. Sorry, I shared a lot of my personal stories on my WhatsApp. And there, for some of you remember, I was sharing about a couple of weeks ago about how I just felt dissatisfied, consistently dissatisfied with where I was, despite the fact that I was highly skilled for that field. And then I'm like, you know what, this is just not working. It wasn't, and that was when I tried to, try out tech, and the tech refused to tech for me. Right. But that was the entire space. So sometimes you will notice that it's either you are experiencing a large form of discomfort or indifference. So some of you, the way God is letting you know that it's time to live where you are is through indifference. But because you are expecting that it should be as if somebody is beating you, it should be as if everything is catching before you know that, no, this is God is sending me away from this place. You're not paying attention. Right? So sometimes it's discomfort where you know that, nah, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be somewhere else, even if I don't know it. Sometimes it's indifference. You just notice that you used to be very, very keen on a particular thing before, but all of a sudden you're just indifferent about it. You're not happy, you're not sad. It's just that, linear line. It's just linear. It's a message I don't want to preach. I'm not a preacher, but it's a message in your spirit telling you, you know what? There are other things that you need to be considering. For some of you, you suddenly find out that some areas are popping up in your heart to pay attention to. Some areas are just popping up. All of a sudden, you are saying, you know what? I think I'm interested in leadership. I think I'm interested in data analysis. I think I'm interested in, and you start to lean towards it, and it feels like there are confirmations all around. You're seeing numbers, you're seeing signs, you're seeing at the same time. All of them coming together to tell you this is what you should consider. And it doesn't mean that you have to do a complete switch, but it means that you have enough things to pay attention to. For some of you, it's you just start to notice that have you faced a season or a period in your life where it felt like all your flaws were coming out in full force? I'd be like, so this is who I can be. And all the time, I used to think, oh, I'm an amazing person. Everybody should like me. And then all of a sudden, you're not seeing that maybe you talk too much, maybe you envy people a lot, maybe you don't know how to respect people, maybe you're not like, it's like that you're now seeing yourself for what you can be. Like I didn't think this could be me. And this is also one of the ways that God can let you know, because sometimes you don't even know what can stop a big blessing, because it's not been highlighted in your heart. So God needs to start bringing in situations that reveal you to you and start to tell you, and you're like, okay, if this behavior should come up in the next 5 years, my life will be done. So you need to look at changes that you're noticing in your heart for this period of season. That's where you start from. Another thing you need to pay attention to is motion points. How do I get moving? So you know where you should start from now. You know that, okay, God it may not be God, right? But you just know that your heart is leaning towards a particular field. You don't just sit there and say, I'm interested in, if for the past 5 years, you have been interested in something you have not taken any step to do, or or you're not taking any action as regards, there's a problem, there's a challenge, there's pressure in that regard. So there has to be the point where you move from where you are, where there are leanings in your heart, or you just feel like, okay, you know what, I need to consider other things, I need to learn how to do this. Sometimes it's not even any spiritual revelation. You just really notice you're getting feedback from multiple people that your behavior is bad. And in this day and age, if you can get feedback from people who tell you that your behavior is bad, you should be happy, because many of us are very, very particular about not offending people anymore. I can't tell you your behavior is bad, and the next thing you're subbing me on your WhatsApp status. So people, they don't know their boundaries. So please, let everybody face what's doing them. But you may have been getting feedback from people. That's the way you talk is so, the way you do this is, and sometimes feedback are pointers to what you should be paying attention to. But you're like, nothing can happen. I'm okay. You know what? It's fine. You are the best in the world. You are the next best after sliced bread or after fried rice. So it's really important, right? If you need to actually ask people, be upfront about asking them, what do you think I need to develop on? And pay attention to nuances. Pay attention to what people are saying in passing. Some people are not very, you're not very self-aware. Or like the Yorubas will say, onkobiara sinko. You have noticed some people will just be saying something in passing. They will be laughing. They'll just say, Okay, you don't even know how to talk sometimes. Ah, I'm using my name so that nobody will think I'm holding there. I didn't come for anybody. That's why I'm using my name. They just laugh. Okay. You have them to laugh. It's how you say. So you said I don't know how to like. Can you just rephrase? I said I said, you can eat. And if you're like somebody like me, I like the sandwich method. I like you can eat, but it's good. I mean, food must not waste. You need to pay attention to all those nuances so that people will not be like, and it gets to that point where you're about to say, I'll produce software, I'll software, we better have this, get it, still on still. And sincere apologies, non-Yoruba. Jamie. So sometimes feedback is not for you to change completely. It's just to give you feedback. So okay, this person says this, then it means I need to pay attention to this. So you understand. So now back to what I was saying. How do I get moving? You don't stay on where you were. You have to start saying, what exactly do I need to be doing right away and looking out for at this point? What somebody mentioned, what if there are financial constraints, and do the lowest version of that thing that doesn't require a financial constraint. And I can tell you, there's always a low hanging fruit. Always. There's always something you can do right now that won't cost you something, even if it is small. Even if it is reading a book or reading an article or calling somebody, telling somebody about it, there is always something that you can do right now in direction of that goal or aspiration that you have. So what exactly do I need to be doing right away? So if you have your notepads, I expect that you can just engage your imagination. What are my aspirations? You can write it. Who do I want to become over the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, just really right now. Come back to the motion points. What exactly do I need to be doing right away, right now? If I'm going to be that kind of person, let me just make you guys laugh because, of course, I'm going to be as real as I can. But I just remember that about 5 years ago, one of my, in fact, on my Skype, I think it's still there. I need to go and remove it, so I'll not disgrace myself. But on my Skype, I wrote boldly and confidently, I wrote one of Africa's or Nigeria's most influential women by 2023. I wrote that in 2018. It has been there, although I've not had access to my Skype in almost 2 years. But I just thought about it some days ago and said, is this not 2023? Let me go remove it. Let me go remove it. Because I really just went to sleep. I had an aspiration, but I could have asked myself, okay, if you want to be one of Nigeria or Africa's most influential women by 2023, what are the things that you need to be doing right now? What are the things you need to be looking out for? What are the things that you need to be paying attention to right away, right now? You can have a long list, and then eventually you have to trim down and trim and trim and trim and trim. Then, number 2, what is the most important thing right now to where I am going? You need to be able to prioritize what's important to you and what's important to your journey and what's important to who you want to become. In some seasons, what is most important to you is that you are having regular physical meetings with people in an industry that you intend to get into. Can you hear me? I feel like I'm no longer as audible, but can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So you need to prioritize what's important. There's something that is most important, more important, and important, right? And everything can be important, but it's so important to prioritize. Vital to prioritize. That's why when you wanted to write JAM, there was, you had preferred choice, more preferred choice, you had most preferred choice, and if you attended Great Ife, you had the most preferred choice. But that's my conversation for tonight. But yeah, back to what I was saying. What is important to where you are going to right now? What is most important? What is more important? What is important? Now, you also want to look at what support already exists for what I'm looking out for. Even if what you are, I don't think there's anything you want to become. There's somebody you want to become that doesn't already have supporting resources right now. It just takes you looking out for it. And many times we are lazy. You're too lazy to find out what exists. You want to become A and B, but you're not finding, you're waiting for, one miracle to just bring what you need. So, there are two phases. Should I say two phases? But there are two occurrences that you typically have. There are certain occurrences where what you need is just brought to your doorstep. So you attend a webinar, for instance, and the person shares something that will change your life completely. And you're like, oh my God, I did not pick any other thing, but this one, I'm going on with it. Right? It just came to your doorstep, or somebody just shares on their Facebook post or on Twitter, somebody shares a snippet from, or you were even just watching a movie to laugh, and then in one scene you could pick something that was really relevant to you, or you were reading a book and page 72, one that it just changes the game for you. So there are times where things are dropped on your doorstep very, very easily. There are times, and this one is the one where you would get more results from, where you will have to go and look for what you need. You will need to learn how to go and research. When you go to Google, you are going to second page, third page, fourth page, fifth page, because what you are seeing on first and second pages aren't satisfactory for you. You're like, this is not enough. You need to learn how to look for. It's not everything will just be. You say God just did it by accident. It just came. I just saw it. No. There will be places, and there are times when God will help you in that wise, where He will just bring opportunities. But there are some times where you will go and look for them and say, you know what, I want opportunities in leadership this year. Let me go and research them. I want opportunities in whatever it is. Let me go and I will find and find and find. I will find on Instagram. I will ask people. I will tell them, I'm looking for A, I'm looking for B. I will tell them, I will ask. I mentioned earlier that I'm a believer in the Bible. And in Matthew 7:7, it says, ask and ye shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and ye shall be open. You see these three things: ask, seek, knock. They require you doing something. None of them says sit and it shall come to you. None. So if everything that has helped you in life are things that just came and easily dropped on your laps, you're not searching enough. You're not finding enough. You're not putting your energy where your aspirations are. And your energy should be where your aspirations are. You can't want to be okay. But your energy, I'm just going to stop at that, is where your aspirations should be. Not every time you accidentally saw something, you accidentally heard something, they accidentally brought it. Then there has to be times where you are seeking and finding and knocking. There are opportunities you will not get if you don't send emails. Do you realize that? The opportunity you will not get if you don't ask, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for, you will not get them. So now here you're looking at, I'm still on number 3. You're looking at books, articles, courses, workshops, etc. And I mentioned something in Italics. It says, always remember that the goal of any personal development endeavor is to give you knowledge and systems that get or keep you moving. Any personal development endeavor, there's no personal development endeavor that will tell you This is everything you need in life. If you even see anything that tells you this is everything you need in life, you need to run away. Because what genuine personal development endeavors do, they give you knowledge. They give you an arsenal of knowledge, and then they give you systems that will get you moving or keep you moving. So it means that for most of the personal development endeavors that you will sign up to, you will be involved in, they are not going to be done for you. Yes, they're not going to be done. Life is a large part of life is DIY. You do it yourself with help from others. So you need to know that if you're always expecting something to just say this, you just read one book and your life will transform forever. No, what books will do is equip you with knowledge and systems. They enlighten you into systems or structures that can get you moving or keep you moving. Now, next thing you want to pay attention to is indicators. How do I know I am doing well? How do I know that I am doing well? I was about to say this is my best part, but I know I think I've said it a couple of times, but yeah, this is one of my best parts. Sometimes the reason people are not getting results is because there are no indicators. You don't know whether you are doing well or not. Yes, thank you, Kemi. There has to be KPIs so that you're not doing you're not doing anything and just anything, and they saying you don't even know. Without indicators, you're not doing anything, even if you are doing everything. Without indicators, you are not doing anything, even if you are doing everything. So there must be personal indicators that let you know that you're on the right path. I need to know that, okay, this is where I'm going to. And for me to know I'm actually on the right path, these are the things that I'm going to be seeing. So think in terms of how your goals, your actions and plans are related to your aspirations. So if I want to take a personal development goal for, can someone give me a keyword? Let me use my personal instances. So let's assume that I want to be Minister for Women's Affairs in Nigeria in next 20 years. Whatever goal I want to achieve or whatever goal I want to create needs to be related to the aspirations that I have. Do you understand? They need to be related to the aspirations, because if I create goals or action plans that are not related to the aspirations, it's going to be like somebody who is going to Ekpe, but now carries their car or starts to enter bus to Songo. So you know how far rough Ekpe and Songo are. So that's how it's going to be, because now you want to be at Ekpe. That's your aspiration. But once you got up from Surulere, I started to enter Danfo, after Danfo, going towards Songo. How will you get to Ekpe? No. So you need to think in terms of how your goals and actions are related to your aspirations. If I want to be Minister for Women's Affairs in the next 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, I need to start to take steps now that are very related to who I want to be. And what I see a lot is people are not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about aspirations. They are just thinking about what they believe they should be doing right now, or what they think is nice to be doing right now. You can't sustain personal development that way. If you always, this is where I am, or let me just do something, let me just read one article, it has to be strategic. And that's why it's a strategy. It has to be strategically inclined. It has to be strategically connected to your aspirations. If you have models, sometimes you're like, okay, how exactly do I know? If you have models, you can take lessons from their journeys. Lessons, not copycats, not you now turning them. Yeah, you know what? When she was 20 years old, this is what she achieved. At 20, this is what I must achieve. Okay, she's 25. At 25, this is what I must achieve. Okay, she's 30. Okay, at 30, she released one book. Okay, I should be able to release one book by 30. No, you take lessons from their journeys. You don't just embody their own journeys, because you are going to be doing yourself a disservice. The ultimate indicator is often fulfillment, where you are with a desire for more, not a gross dissatisfaction of where you are. So usually, and in my own personal experience, when I am on the right path, there's a fulfillment I experience. How many of us have experienced that fulfillment before? There's a fulfillment, there's a desire for more. You feel like, okay, yes, there's more I should be doing, but there's a fulfillment. There's a difference between the desire for more that comes from fulfillment and the desire for more that comes from a gross dissatisfaction. And I can tell you, your mind will not lie to you. Your body will not lie to you. If you're not moving in the right direction, this will be revolting. Your mind will be revolting. You just know that, no, I'm not supposed to be here. Even if you use strong gear that you stay there, you will not, I'm not supposed to be here. So there's usually a fulfillment where okay, I am where I should be. Even though I am still going to be pressing on to more, I'm not going to be contented with status quo, or I'm not going to settle with being mediocre. And it is not a gross dissatisfaction of where you are. So you see, these indicators are crucial. And they differ from person to person. My indicators for growth over the next 5-6 months will not be your indicators for growth, because our aspirations are different. So you see why you can't compare yourself with other people, because what we want to achieve, they are different. And because what we want to achieve are different, the growth strategies have to be different. Our diets have to be different. Do you understand? Because where we are going is different. If you are going to Ekpe and I'm going to Songo, I'm not going to enter the same bus going to Ekpe. If not, I'll get to do, even if the bus taking me to Ekpe is fully air conditioned, it's smooth. They give you food inside. For those of you I like food, they give you food inside. I won't enter a car going to Ekpe because it's fully air conditioned. I will not enter a car going to Ekpe because there's plenty food or there's plenty gifts, when I know that I'm supposed to go to Songo. But if I didn't even have a plan, or I didn't know where I should be, and somebody calls me and says, Orifunke, Ekpe, I'm going to stand up. No plan, not here. We're going to Ekpe. Do you get that analysis? So the ultimate indicator is often fulfillment, where you are with a desire for more, and you need to look at indicators that are very personal to you, personal to your organization, personal to your journey. So you don't be doing what everybody's doing because you want to get the results that other people are getting. So now, modes of learning, and this is another part that I love so much. Oh gosh, if you're able to master your modes of learning, many of the struggles that people face will be a thing of the past. So when you're crafting your personal growth strategy, you need to be asking yourself, how will I be learning? How will I be learning? Are you going to be learning from books? Will you be learning from physical courses, physical events? There are very, very different ways of learning. So some of you, the best way you learn is by listening. So you need to be listening to a lot of podcasts. Some of you, the best way you learn is through videos. So you need to be watching a lot of videos. Many of you, the best way you learn is by practice. So I say this a lot, that one of the best ways for me to learn is to give me a step-by-step guide. And even if I've never done it before, just tell me, do A. Once you do A, move to B. Once you move to B, move to C, move to D. Do you understand it? I'm okay. And it was one of the things that helped me early on in my career, because even when my boss gave me stuff that I typically would not know, I'll just tell him, let's jump on a call. He'll say, let's jump on a call. And then he'll show me, once you do this, do that. Once you do that, do that. And I'm fine. That's one of the ways that I learn. It's not the only way I learn, though. So you need to know how you will be learning. So important. This is a personal growth strategy. It's not a goals strategy session. So it's really key on how you're going to be growing and how you will be learning. Number two, who will I be learning from? And I want to take you back to what I mentioned earlier about seeking and finding and knocking. If the only, well, sometimes God helps you and you're learning from people who are readily in your circle. And if you're like that, it means that you're really lucky, where the people that have what you need are close to you. Very important. In some cases, you will need to go and find, in many cases, actually, you will need to go and find these people. You will need to go and look for somebody who knows what you, or who is where you want to be, who teaches what you want to learn very well. So you need to know who you will be learning from. And they don't even have to be a lot of people. If you have too many teachers, you are going to be confused in this life. But sometimes these people are already within your circle. Sometimes they are far. So who are you supposed to be learning from? Why are you going to be learning from them? Do they have industry expertise that can help you? Do they have results that can help you in that line? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Are you guys following? Are you guys here? It's like the class is now quiet. Are these things really serious? Are they very serious to you? Is everything okay? So number 3, where should I be learning? Where exactly should I be learning? This is important. I'm not going to dwell on that. But where should I be learning? Am I supposed to move out? Am I supposed to start to look for physical opportunities to learn? Am I supposed to look at, say, I have an uncle whose organization does something I want to learn. I'm going to say once a week I would come to your office and learn or something. Or this person, I feel like he has or she has what I need. I'm going to come and visit you in your house or in your office, or what, I don't know, whatever works for you. But I'm going to come and visit you, or we're going to arrange a hangout somewhere once a month, or once in a quarter, or once in a year, so that I can learn. Or it's just going to be virtual. I'm going to be learning online courses, online, whatever it is. Where should I be learning? If you're going to be learning personally, would it be best for you to learn in your house? Is your house conducive enough for you to learn? Or do you need to look for a close by libraries? For those of you who live in areas where there are libraries, do you need to arrange, somewhere where you can learn better? So now, what are my best modes of learning? I mentioned that earlier when I was talking about how you'll be learning. There are different modes of learning. There's there's text, there's audio, there's visual. You have audio, visual. My best mode of learning is by reading. I like to read, and I think that's why I like to write. I like to read a lot, and I don't really like sitting down to listen. It takes a lot for me to sit down and listen, unless it's a voice note that where somebody's asking me a question or they're giving me a gist. But I have to sit down and listen. But I really like to read. So many times, even when I take online courses, I like to look at the transcripts first. I can dump the video itself and look at the transcripts. So now, what are my best modes of learning? This is important. Now, understanding your best modes of learning does not mean that's the only way you will be learning. Don't go and say, it's only books I read. I don't like videos. I won't watch videos. You only be doing yourself. Your best modes of learning work best so that they can allow you to create how do I put this, a strategy where you are in control. Sometimes you are in control of how you can learn. Sometimes you are not in control. So in cases where you are not in control of how you can learn, you have to adapt to how you can learn, to the opportunities that exist. You can't say I'm a visual learner. Videos, if it's video, I don't read books, I'm not a reader, I'm not a distant, I just want to see it. No. Sometimes when it's in your control, you can figure that out. Many times it's not in your control. So you have to adapt to the modes of learning that exist. Now, what are my best times of learning? I learned something last year that I shared with some of you. I learned about, there's this word, but it has to do with sleep patterns, right? And so your sleep pattern, to a very large extent, can define your productivity pattern. Your sleep pattern, there's a word, it's called, I can't recall, but there's a sleep pattern that says, you know what, if this is if this is where you like to, no, okay, well, this word is different from what I knew, but this is interesting. Cardian, if I pronounce that correctly. Okay, it looks like 3 people have mentioned it, so we should really read about it. Amazing. So your sleep patterns can determine how productive you can be, right? And so many times the challenges that people are having is that they're trying to be productive a lot of times when they should be sleeping. So some people are not night people, but they call themselves night people. You won't get the results as much as you can. It doesn't mean you can't function in other time clocks or time zones, but it means that you need to be very, very aware. For instance, I know personally that my peak periods begin when around 5-6 p.m. So I can start work by 5 to 6 p.m. and finish by 3-4 a.m. and my eyes will still be like this. For some people, you can't try it. You just, once it's 5-6, your brain is already shutting down. So you need to understand. Yes, sleep chronotype. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Dorcas. Yes, thank you. Sleep chronotype. Yes. So it just determines how your productivity hours. And sometimes it's not that reading doesn't work for you. It's that you are reading at the wrong hours. Sometimes it's not that videos don't work for you. You are watching at the wrong hours. Sometimes it's not that, oh, audio doesn't work for me. It could be that you're working at the wrong hours. So you can't just zero out a mode of learning or a time of learning simply because you tried it once or a couple of times and it did not work. Now, finally, under this, how can I inculcate learning into what my schedule looks like? This is the most okay. There are many important, but how can I inculcate learning into what my schedule looks like? If you are unable to inculcate your modes of learning, your methods of learning, your schedules for learning, your times of learning into what your schedule looks like now, right now, you will struggle. So I have a 9 to 5. Where will I put learning inside this 9 to 5? Knowing that if you have a 9 to 5, what learning looks like to you would be different from what learning looks like to somebody who is an entrepreneur and who works from home. If you have a physical 9 to 5 where you have to go there every day, what learning looks like for you will be different from somebody who has a 9 to 5 who has to work from home. So you need to say, how can I inculcate learning and personal development into what my schedule looks like right now? Super important. So that you're not always saying, I don't have time. When people tell me I don't have time to, let's say, read, I'm always like, no, you have time. You just have not found the time yet. You have time. You've not found it yet. So I don't know my schedule. You have time. You just have not found it yet. So you always want to say, how can I inculcate this learning? Whatever mode it is, whether it's going to be physical simulations, whether it's going to be apprenticeship, whether it's going to be reading, watching, being in a class, being in a program, whatever. How can I inculcate this learning into what my schedule looks like right now? You want to look at accountability. How exactly do I sustain my momentum? Understand exactly what and who you need is super important. And you need to develop a system that allows you to first be aggressively accountable to yourself. And I think I touched on this much earlier, but if you're always looking at someone or looking for someone to help you, you will be waiting for long. Everybody has everything that they are doing. So many times you may need to pay expensively if you want somebody to always be there to help you, to carry you, to lift you, to all of that. So you need accountability. How can I be accountable to myself? What systems can I create to be accountable to myself? Under number 3, I said you need to think in terms of advisors. There are people who will be your advisors, people who you will reach out to ask questions and be like, I need knowledge in this area. I need knowledge as regards this. And there are accountability partners, people that you would reach out to and say, you know what, I want to be accountable to you. And I'd like to emphasize this because many times people think when somebody's their accountability partner, the person has to be on their neck. No, you are the one who is being accountable to them. They are the ones being accountable to you. So if your accountability partner has to always check up on you, follow up on you, they are no longer accountability partners. They have now become personal assistants. So you want to know the difference between an accountability partner and a personal assistant. Which one are you looking for? Is it accountability partner or is it personal assistant? So think in terms of advisors and accountability partners. So even for every accountability partnership to work, you need to be accountable to yourself first. So if you're not accountable to yourself already, maybe what you need is not an accountability partner. Maybe what you need is a group of people who are trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. And now I like to include this. Always when you schedule or create a schedule for communicating with these people, whether they're advisors, whether they're mentors, whether it's your mother, your father, your boyfriend, your sister, whoever it is, your accountability partners, whoever they may be, you need to create a schedule for communicating with them. So will you communicate with them every day? At what time every day? Will it be in the night? Will it be in the morning? Will it be at midday? Would it be during the weekends? Would it be once a week? Would it be once a month? Would it be once in 3 months? You need to have a schedule for communicating with these people. Because some of you, the reason you just dumped your accountability patterns, you're like, they don't care about me, but you exactly did not know how to navigate that relationship with them. And most importantly, pardon me, please, you need to include agreed consequences for defaulting. You see this one? If you have been struggling with accountability, you have had 100 accountability partners, none of them has worked for you. You need to, this one is going to be the game changer. Tell them, if I don't get this done by so and so and so date, I'm going to pay you so and so and so amount that will shake you. I'll say I'm going to pay you 10,000, and you know that before you see if 10,000 should leave your account, it will shake you. You will get it done. And this is one reason why I say a lot of accountability relationships that don't work, because there are no agreed consequences for defaulting. You just say follow up on me, follow up on me, follow up on me. The person follows up 100 times and nothing works. So agreed consequences for defaulting. Will you be giving them money? Will you be helping them? Or will you render them a service that you know this is going to be so hard? You can even take it a step ahead and sign an agreement with them, so that even if the devil wants to use you, the agreement will be there. You won't allow there's an agreement there. We both signed. Do you understand? So these are ways where you can take your personal development very seriously. Not always say, God, I'm not motivated, I'm not inspired, I need motivation. Motivation cannot last. You need a strategy in place. Your mind was not designed to always be motivated. Can you picture, let's take a certain, very, very short exercise anyway, but imagine think about the times when you were really motivated, you were really excited, you were really hyper. Can you think about those times? Can you imagine being like that 24/7 every day of your life? Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? What would that look like? I personally don't want to imagine it. Where you're always motivated, you're always excited, you're always hyper. It will be disastrous. So your life is not designed, your mind is not designed to be consistently motivated. So if you're always waiting for motivation, there's something wrong. Because you won't always be motivated, but you would need to still get the job done nonetheless. Now, you want to look at the hindrances. What's standing in the way of who you are? You need to be sincere with yourself. What are the hindrances? Are the hindrances temporal or perpetual? So some hindrances right now are things you can deal with. Some hindrances are things that you cannot deal with. So can this hindrance be fixed? Or do you have to work around it? Do you need to leave it be? For instance, a hindrance could be that you have, how can I put this without mislooking? But let me put it in quotes, could be that you have maybe 3 kids to take care of and you don't have help. So how can you navigate that? Is that something you can fix? If you are able to work out your personal development or your learning into your schedule, are there times where you can feel, okay, these are the times I'll be learning? Would I have one of my siblings come over? Or would I take my children to my mother's place or my whatever father-in-law's place, so that I can have some time? Do I arrange something with my friends' siblings, or do I take them to my friends? So you need to be very, very honest with the hindrances that you face, so that when you face the hindrances, it won't come as a shock to you, and it will not deter you. And so what should they, are we together now? So I want to be sure, I want to hear from you. Are you okay? We're about closing off. So I want to be sure that everyone is fine. I want to be sure everyone is fine. Everyone is fine. You can hear me. You are taking it in. You are sleeping off.
Yes, we are following.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just need to be sure that people are following. I said, because some people, they would have slept. Those of you that you'll be in a meeting, then you just sleep off. Then everybody would have said, bye everyone, bye, 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 bye. And then you wake up like 2 hours after to find out that only you, and you are the only one who has been in the meeting. So now, what should a personal growth strategy look like? Number one, anything that gets the job done for you. Anything, as long as it gets the job done, it is effective for you. So the work that you need to do is in actually sitting down and ensuring that it gets the job done. Some people work with already created templates. There are certain people who are like, you know what, just give me templates. I will work with it. Some people are different. They feel like, I need to be flexible. I need to be dynamic in how I, create. I need to create something for myself, right? So anything that gets the job done for you. Number two, it should be clear. When you see a personal growth strategy, when you see what you're creating for yourself, you must understand what it is from the get-go for you. It has to be clear. If it is not clear to you, there's a problem. I need to know how many books, or I need to know that, okay, over the next 2 months, I want to be reading 1 book in 3 weeks, or 1 chapter per day, or 5 chapters per week. And I need to be enrolled in this, or calling this person, or taking this test, doing these reviews. It has to be clear. There are no places for Grace Oluwatosin. Could you please mute your mic? So mute your mic, because I think I can get a feedback from you. Thank you so much. So there has to be clarity when it comes to a strategy, even away from a personal growth strategy. If you've worked with strategies, brand strategies, whatever, it has to be clear. There is no room for vagueness or confusion. Number two, it has to be personalized. It has to be focused on you as a person, your personal challenges, strengths, and journey. You can't take somebody's growth strategy and eat it and be like, you know what? This is it. I'm taking it. It has to be personalized. So it means you need to understand yourself. You need to seek to understand yourself better than you already do, so that you can create solutions that work for you and you alone. It has to be specific. It cannot be open-ended. There's nothing like, I want to read more this year. I want to read more. What kind of books do I want to read? Why do I want to read these kinds of books? What are the books I want to be reading? When do I want to be reading? How often do I want to be reading? What action plans would I take from what I want to be reading? It's very important. It has to be specific. Let's say I want to take more courses. You cannot take more courses If it is not specific, there's a high chance that it will not be done, because it is when it is specific that you can measure. Now you want to include time frames and deadlines. Always include time frames. What time frame are you giving yourself for something to get done? Are you following? What time frame are you giving yourself for something to get done? Are you giving yourself 3 weeks? Are you saying I'll be reading once a week? Are you saying I will be reading? I don't know why I'm using reading. I like to read a lot, so pardon me if reading is not your primary mode of learning. So, but you want to include time frames and deadlines so that it just keeps you accountable. And then you want to acknowledge support systems as well. What support systems do you have? Do you have a community you can be accountable to? For some of you, some of your support systems could be your housekeeper, could be your nanny, could be your driver, could be your sibling. So you want to acknowledge support systems and how they can help you achieve your personal growth strategy. So this is a table, but I'm not sure it's clear enough. I'm not sure it's clear enough, but this is a table, right? And so this is really bringing them together and working with something like this so that it's clear from the get-go. If your personal growth plan has like 54 pages of things you want to do personally, right, you will lose motivation real fast. So you can have a simple template like this where you have your aspirations. And I just strongly believe that for anybody to want to get something done, a goal or whatever, there has to be an aspiration. There has to be something that you're looking at, whether a person you want to be, a skill you want to achieve, a role you want to attain. There has to be an aspiration, because it is that aspiration that would birth the goals that you want to have. I mean, of course, today is not for goals, so I'm not going to start emphasizing on SMART goals, where the goals have to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, what area of my life is this? If you're working with a template that looks like a simulation of this, what area of my life is this? Is it my financial life? Is it my relationship with people? Is it my family life? My relationship with my parents, my siblings? Is it my work life? How I relate with my bosses, my sponsors, my superiors, my subordinates? Is it my spiritual life? How well I pay attention to God, or whatever religion that I follow, how often I read or study or just engage divinity. Very, very important. What I need to be doing. So what you need to be doing are the action plans that break down the steps that you need to take towards your aspirations. How many of you took the progression challenge in November 2021? Yeah. If you took the progression challenge, say hello. So if you recall, what the progression challenge did was to allow you to envision a person that you wanted to be, your aspirations, and then what you needed to be doing to get there, so that you are not taking bus to Songo when you're supposed to be going to Ekpe. Now, what to measure or look out for. Now, recall that these are things that I've already mentioned earlier. And then that's why I call this section bringing them together. So you see what it actually looks like if you had to bring everything you've learned all the while together. So what to measure, what to look out for, so that when I look at your growth plan or whatever it is, I'm able to say, oh, okay, so she's actually doing well, because these are things that we're measuring, these are things that we're looking out for. And then finally, timeline and deadlines. If your plan does not have a timeline, it cannot work. It will not work. You will just keep having carryovers. You'll be carrying over plans and for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because there are no timelines. You have to have a timeline, and you need to have deadlines. And so This is where we typically close off for the day, but I'd like to ask if anybody has questions or if you have comments, you want to disagree with something. So let me hear from you. Do you have questions? Do you have a comment? How do you feel? How has this been for you? So please use the comments. So I'm going to be checking. You have questions. And yes, this is where you also get to ask questions that are not, that may not necessarily pertain to this class, right? Maybe like random questions that can help you. Thank you. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, all right. Thank you, Precious. Kemi, your hand is raised. You can unmute.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much for an insightful session. Make I on my mic. Okay. Oh no, let's keep it audio. All right. So my question is related to connecting with, let me paint this as an example. So now you've just told us this thing in line with personal growth, personal development, how to get started, how to stay consistent and all that. But you highlighted a very important example. Let's say there's someone that maybe embodies what you want to see in your own life. That sort of person that embodies what you want to see in your own life. How do you have access to such a person in a way that is not like there's this annoying thing that some people will do. You just enter someone's DM, you be like, come and mentor me, or come and be my teacher, that sort of thing. So what are your thoughts on that? How would you advise that sort of situation? Thank you.
Okay, yes, awesome. So how do you get access to people ahead of you that you feel like you have a lot to learn from them? Typically, people ahead of you, they have what I would call knowledge touch points. They always have knowledge touch points, and you will need to do the research, the hard work of finding what their touch points are. If you are very lucky, these people have many touch points. Sometimes they have loads of books. Sometimes they post on social media a lot. Sometimes they have publications. Sometimes they've been featured in interviews. Sometimes they have videos, podcasts, everywhere. So you want to find what their knowledge touch points are. How exactly can you get knowledge from these people? Because sometimes we think that what we need is personal access when what we need is knowledge. And they can give knowledge in different ways. You can get knowledge from them in different ways. So what I do, how I navigate that. There is a liar. How I navigate that is to go and research these people. I don't send DMs. It's not that DMs are great, but if I'm sending a DM to somebody I admire, best believe I've done my research. I've researched. I've found you, girl. You get. So I try to start from books. So what books have they written? Is it an ebook? If it's paid, you buy. Yeah, it's part of the sacrifices you need to pay. You buy. Do they have courses? And is it free? Can I sign up, or is it paid? Is it something I can afford? If it's not something I can afford, it's okay. What other affordable means of knowledge do they have? Are they, if you follow them, and it's a lot easier these days, especially if they're online. If you follow them these days, you can even see, okay, they are signing up. Oh, sorry, they've been invited to speak somewhere. You attend. They have a podcast, you listen. They have a YouTube channel, you watch. Go and look for them on Google. Have they been interviewed by media houses? You read their interviews. Have they been featured in newspapers? You read everything. You read everything. Because many times, like I mentioned earlier, what you need is not personal access or direct access. This person has my number, or I have that number, I have his number, then I'm what you need is the touch points of knowledge. And once you can harness these touch points of knowledge, you'll get the answers you're looking for. And guess what? If you can harness these touch points of knowledge, what me I can tell you is that eventually life will bring you closer to them, no matter how long it takes, eventually, because there's no way you're paying attention to this person. You're reading from them, you're hearing from them, you're learning from them, even if they don't know you, they don't know you exist. Eventually life will bring you guys together. So I hope that answers your question. Their touch points. Look for the touch points. Sometimes you will just hear they are speaking at this event at so and so, you will go there. You may not even go there, and you may not even introduce yourself after the event, but you will go there because you heard they are speaking at somewhere at so and so place. So instead of sending them DMs and say, I want you to, and sometimes after you followed these people and follow them actively, you can actually send them DMs and ask them to mentor you. So it's not a bad thing to send somebody DM and ask them to mentor you. But the truth is, it's going to be a lot easier for them to respond to you if they see that you're somebody who has a deep understanding of who they are, the work that they've done, the value that they've churned out, and you can realize that, after everything you have read from them, you think a mentorship with them would go ahead. So it's very important. I hope that answered your question, Kemi.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. And okay,
Right,
sorry, it's like a follow-up question. A follow-up question in line with that. So let's say you are following someone, and as I already said, this is someone that embodies what you want to be, who you want to be. So the person, by reason of experience, by reason of knowledge and years and all that, they have an audience of like-minded people, of people that you are like hoping to be connected to. So how would you also like plug yourself into that person's audience without it seeming like you are, how would I say, like stealing the person's audience? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like now some people,
I get you.
let's say,
Okay.
Okay. Oh, let me just
Go
drop
ahead.
this example. Let's say now you are maybe someone who wants to be a fitness expert, or you are a fit farm coach. So you have someone that has like this lifestyle that's really in line with the fitness farm that you're looking for. And by reason of the value that this person churns out, the person has been able to attract an audience of people that you would like to have in your own community. So how would you, first of all, gain that value from that person, though you've already covered that in the first question? But the second, like also attracting that similar tribe
You still there?
to your
Okay.
own person without it being like, oh, you're stealing this person's audience.
Okay. Yes, I heard you clearly. Okay. So if I'm being very sincere, if it feels like you are stealing the person's audience, then it likely looks like that. It's likely what it is. And I can tell you for free that many people who have built audiences will not take it lightly if they feel like you're stealing their audience, right? And if these people too, if this audience themselves have a strong connection to this person, there's a likelihood they will not follow you. So now, here's what you can do. You can plug yourself into this person's work and be a part of their work, right? Learn from them, pay attention to them. Do they have courses or programs? Pay for them. Offer value. That's number 2. You look at how you can offer value to this person. Offer value. And another thing you also want to consider is that, are you is a person like a direct competitor, or does a person just have your audience? So that's a question you will need to. Sometimes the person does or you do exactly what this person does, and they will just not want you to come in. It's going to be very, very tough, and in fact, it's not going to be advisable. So they will try to, if they find out, they can even cut contact with you completely unless they are not insecure at all. So you want to look at, are they my direct competitor, or do they just have my audience? Sometimes people have your audience, but they are not a competitor. A person could have an audience of, so for instance, there could be a person could be a parenting coach that has access to mothers and fathers who want to learn how to do this parenting thing well. And these guys are also your audience, but you are not a parenting coach. Maybe you offer nutritional coaching or whatever it is, or products for the children of these people. They are your audience, but you are not a direct competitor to this person who is the parenting coach that leads them, right? So in that case, you can still look at how you can offer value that you have to these people. So there is not going to be it won't be a stealing. You're not stealing them because you're offering value to them. In the case where they are your direct competitor, what you can really do is, when you're reaching out to this person, be upfront with them. Let them know, oh, I am a fitness this thing. I do this and I do this and I do that. Be upfront with them. Be honest with them. I can tell you, any serious person would even welcome you in. Be upfront with them. This is what I do, and I would like to learn from this and this from you. And they will be very, very open. And you can now take that knowledge you have gotten from them, take that knowledge and also build your own audience. Then it would be your own audience, and it'll be people you've started with from scratch. They won't easily leave. If you're building an audience from somebody's audiences, it's like when they say you snatch a person's boyfriend. If you snatch somebody's boyfriend, somebody else is snatching from you too. Well, ideally, that's supposed to be the ideal situation. But in this age and time where there's it has gone beyond ordinary heights. But ideally, but it's even common sense, if you can successfully snatch a heavy man from somebody else, just know that the heavy man is light enough for another one to snatch him. So see it like that, right? If you can snatch a person's audience from them, they do not have any incentive to be loyal to you. So learn from them, be upfront and honest with them. This is why I'm here, this is why I'm learning from you, so that they don't I don't want to put, they don't start thinking, so they don't find out later and feel like, oh, so that's even why she came to sign up. You just came to steal my ideas and everything. And use that knowledge to build. If they build, you can definitely build yourself as well. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Okay, so
yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think okay, all right. Those were brilliant questions. Those were, deep questions, actually, very deep questions. Victoria, was it Victoria? Victoria asked a question earlier, and she said, Victoria, I know you asked a question. Somebody asked,
Yes,
you asked
I
a question
asked a
about
question.
clarity. Okay, yes. Can you retake the question, because I can't find it?
Okay, my question is, how do one gain clarity, especially one with like diverse interests, like in different career paths? Like, okay, I'm interested in media, and at the same time, I'm interested in community development, like non-governmental
Okay.
organizations, and working with people like that.
Okay. So I have a podcast. It's on Anchor. You should see it on Spotify too. And it's titled Career Clarity for Multi-Potentialites. Career Clarity for Multi-Potentialites. And it's so good. I've gotten feedback over and over again. I think you should go and listen to it. It's extensive. It's exhaustive. It's deep. Go and listen to it. It will help you. It'll help you. So yesterday says, speaking of borrowed goals, my mentor is an embodiment of what I would like to be. She recommended a course for me. Although it's recommended, it's essentially important to my growth and dreams. Can that be classified as a borrowed goal? No, that's not a borrowed goal, because you really just said it is essentially important to your goal, growth, and your dreams. It is very important to you, even though it was recommended or suggested or advised by someone else. So that is not a borrowed goal. I hope that answered your question. So I think those are all the questions I can take for tonight. Princess Dollar, your session is the last session, last question I will take. So let me have your question.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me, OL.
Yes, I can.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So thank you so much for your session. It's been really enlightening. I just have a question. For someone who is maybe into something like also like a field in like personal development and all of that, and the person has been doing it for a while now and maybe like free, how does one switch to making, I mean, of course the person is giving out value, but making their audience, sorry, I'm on the road, that's why I'm kind of panting, making their audience see the value and also want to pay for it, rather than wanting to get it for free all the time. Thank you.
Okay. So the first thing I would say is, in fact, the first way to get people to see value in what you do enough, because sometimes people see value in it, but they're just not at the point where they're going to pay or where they can pay you yet. But the first thing to do is to create a structure that makes it easy for people to pay. Many times, the reason people struggle with these things, people not paying you or you're struggling with people, is because there are no structures that make it easy for people to pay. So people are always asking you for personal development advice, personal development consultation, personal development. Go and create a page on Seller and let people know I am now taking personal development consultations at so and so and so amount. For more details, click on this link. God's favorite baby, just search for Orifunke Lawal or Orifunke Lawal Academy. Yes, any of them. Orifunke Lawal Academy, I think it was under the Academy's account. Right, so create a structure that makes it easy for people to pay. If it is easy for people to pay, they will know that this is a paid resource. Since I started to put a price on my value, the way people are, there's been a high reduction, or people who just expected me to do things randomly for them. People who just expected me to write for them, write a caption for them, write this, there's been a reduction. Now there are people that I volunteer with for free. I don't have any problem with that. But for the mass populace, or for the populace, or for the masses, masses sound somehow, you need to create a structure. Let people know that this thing, I charge for it. That's number one. Number two, there's this thing people, is really prevalent. People say, if you want people to pay for you, offer them, do a free webinar, I'm not of that proponent, right? So you have people, organize webinars, and then at the end, they just give you, this fluffy stuff, and just because they want you to just buy something. And people, I don't advise that, right? If you want something to be free, let it be free. Whatever you want to be paid, whatever you want people to pay for, do not first offer it to them for free. Especially when you're just starting out. That's what when you're just starting out. Whether if, for instance, if you have a how do I put this? You have a personal development class, and you're like, after this personal development class, I want these people to I want these people to, pay it. Don't do it. Well, it's not like it's impossible. It can work. I've seen it work in many instances, but you will need you will need a lot. So whatever you want to do for free, just do it for free. Especially because you're in a climb, or you're selling mostly to a climb where if you go and put this in they can say, so that's why she even did it for free. I knew it. It's not as if she liked us now. It's not. So let them know you're doing this for free. Let it be free. If they're going to be paying, let it be paid. If it is going to be, if whatever it is going to be available at a price after, communicate it beforehand. Communicate it beforehand, so they know that this edition we are getting is free. The one that is coming is going to be paid. Do you understand? It really boils down to clear-cut communication. Don't say, everything is free, come, and then in the middle, you want to sneak it in. Do you understand? Sometimes, though, you've already started and you've gone far, and then there's you just need to switch to paid. I remember Steve Harris sharing a very interesting story recently in one of his webinars where I was present, and I was talking about this thing, right? And so there are also strategies through which you can move actually from free to paid. There are strategies you can move from free to paid. And finally, there are some times where you have looked forward, you have looked backward, you have looked to the left, you have looked to the right. You know that this thing, free cannot cut it. It cannot just cut it anymore. We need to move to paid. It's going to be hard for people to adjust, but eventually your audience will come. If you're consistent in messaging, you're consistent in delivering value, your audience will come. Even if those who experienced it for free initially were struggling, and they say, because people are going to always drop off. But even though that exists or that happens, you will build consistency, and you will build an audience of people who will be used to paying for your value. So I hope that, so it's not black. You can say that it's not a black and white answer. It's not yes or no. It's not don't do free, don't do paid, do free, do paid, do it. No. There are always gray areas that would work based on who you are, and many times based on the audience that you're also trying to sell to. But you see that first one I mentioned, create a structure for easy payments and be sharing it. If you say I do personal development coaching, for more, if you want to do, you can sign up here. Keep posting it. If somebody wants to enter your DM and ask for free coaching, they will enter with humility, not humility, humility. I know I should be paying for this. I know, but please Mama, help me, because they know. They know they will enter. I know. They would acknowledge, they would value it more, because they know that normally this should be paid. People who, if there's no price range, they will be entitled to it. They'll be entitled. But if there's a price range, even if they want to request or you want to give somebody for free, they know that this is coming at a high price. I may not be paying anything right now, but it is not without price. I hope you got that. I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Yes. So much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining. We actually sat here through for how many hours? Like 1 hour? No, not 1 hour. We used like 1 hour. Sorry, 1 hour. We are just about wow. This is amazing. Yes. My goodness. 2.5. I can't remember the last time I thought for this long. We used 2.5 hours. 2.5. That's 2 hours 30 minutes. You guys, what can I give you people? You know, when you visit people like the phone you buy yo. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining. You guys were very energetic. I loved your energy. We should have another. See you in a love. We should have this on a monthly basis, and the next edition will not be on personal development. It will be on something else. You know, I have the idea, but if you know, you can even send me. You can even send me topics you want us to address, and then as God gives us time and strength, we'll show up and we'll share. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. I love you. I drank water. No, I can't lie. I drank water, actually. I drank water many times. I drank water. No, they not pay me for free adverts. Ignore. Which gift? Please, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would also do my best to make sure that I don't want to go and promise, but I will do my best. I still do my best. So sometimes my best may not be enough, but I'll do my best to ensure that the slides are available for those who attended. My best also. No one's come and be holding me. Oh well, alpha, this slide. Because so I'm not gonna sleep and wake up and be like, that slide should have been paid. It should have been paid. The recordings will also be available. This one will be available for free. If it was going to be paid, I would have mentioned. All right. Thank you guys. To have a good night. Wishing you an amazing week. Don't forget to share, whatever you learned, please share and share. If you're on our group, share everywhere. Send to me. You can share on Twitter, share on Facebook, share on Instagram. Just share, send me DMs. So do have a good night. I love you all. Bye.